Good morning and good afternoon and good evening wherever you are. My name is Miss Maggie and I'm a multimillionaire. I hope everyone's doing great today. You know what? Let me go ahead and put this on focus because I get distracted. Speaking of distractions, can somebody tell me how I can really leverage my success as an individual with ADHD? I'm sure I have ADHD, maybe undiagnosed, but it's definitely on the spectrum because I feel like one, my brain is just firing so many different things all at once, right? The point of this video was springing into action with boldness, with audacity, being audacious. A lot of people have work ethic, a lot of people have willingness to do things and free will and things that I mentioned in my video and faith. But they're missing one thing, and that's audaciousness, audacity. What is audacity? Let's ask Google, shall we? Audacity refers to a confident, daring, or bold quality that is often perceived as shocking, rude, or disrespectful. It's not just confidence, right? You can be confident, go about your day. You don't have to worry about people pleasing, but still be erring on the side of keeping the balance, keeping the peace. But audacity is having so much confidence and doing something and being such a bold risk taker that it comes off as negative. It comes off as rude. It comes off as shocking. It is perceived as oh my God, what did this girl just do? I think I've had that quality my whole life. I'm sure I have because growing up I was always honestly perceived as disrespectful, always talking back, always being a smart mouth, always willing to do something out of the ordinary. And that's not to say I was a troubling kid, I wasn't doing some wild, crazy stuff, but just more audacious, being able to take risks and not be a follower, but go my own way and my own path. And two examples of that is actually when I first moved here to California. And I was working this full time job, literally 7 days a week, damn near 10 hours a day, besides Sunday. Sunday, I was probably working 5 hours. But regardless, I was working almost every single day. And it was just I was just this is not for me. I don't want to keep working for someone who doesn't really see much in me. And this was a sales job where it was just very easy to go up. You just had to work hard, um, and train other people as well and build your own business. But that in itself, I didn't want to be a part of that because that didn't align with me. And so I decided to book a one way ticket to California. I didn't know where I was going to sleep. I didn't know how I was going to eat. I didn't know how I was going to shower and take care of myself. But 2 weeks before I booked it, God was telling me, just go, just go. I journaled, I prayed, and I had confirmation, and God said, go. And I took that risk. I took that very bold risk. And mind you, oh my God, there's a rainbow on my screen. And mind you, I was 19, living with my sisters, my family. They had no idea what my situation was. They thought I was going to go to California, stay with a friend for a couple months, maybe figure it out. If that didn't work, come back. But I decided to keep that thing away from them, what I was going what was happening, because I knew they wouldn't let me go. I had the audacity, and it would have came off extremely shocking if I told my sisters what the plan was, but no. I decided to come to California to pursue my dreams, and I knew that the dream that I had then would somehow change because I didn't even know who I was fully. I needed to get away from coming from New York and living in the shadows of other people, living in the shadows of my family, and find who I was, find my own identity. And I knew that a solid dream, a solid plan, a solid mission would form in that. Moving to Cali and just moving with the grace of God, being sustained by the grace of God. And thankfully enough, I've been here for 3 years and like I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I've been so much more blessed in the last 3 years. I can't even imagine. Like, California is my home. This is where I see my mission taking over. Um, and I love it. So that's one example of my audaciousness. Audaciousness, ness, 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 ness. And then another example is I just quit my job, my 9 to 5 in January. We are in April 9th. I quit my 9 to 5. It was more like 9 to 6, 10 to 7, but that that job really showed me that I will never be working for someone else again. I can't do it. I'm too much of a free thinker, too much of a butterfly. Like I need to be I can't fathom one doing the same things every single day. Two, trying to keep the peace by keeping how I feel, how I genuinely feel to myself. Like, if I got a problem, I'm going to bring it up, I'm going to mention it. But and that's another story for another time because that's something that did happen that really bothered me. And that's kind of why I quit. But, anyways, not being taken serious, not like I wasn't being taken serious. My fruitful efforts or my ability to actually like work with customers and help people wasn't being acknowledged. Like, I realized in that job, I wasn't being valued. And I was like, what is the point? What is the point of this? I also realized that I didn't want to be in that same position for the next 4 years because that was the reality of a lot of the people that I knew that worked at that job for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Are you crazy? I'm crazy, but not that crazy. So I decided to take a bold, risk taking move and quit, not knowing what my next source of income is going to be, not knowing how I'm going to pay my bills. But the universe has been, on the contrary, rewarding me for that audacity, rewarding me for taking that risk, rewarding me for listening to my body, listening to my soul, listening to what God really wants for me. And so since then, I've decided to, go head first in a different type of career, something that I see myself doing for decades, but also in a way that's philanthropic. Like I don't just want to be in this career just to make money, just to do that, but also use that as a stepping stone to help other people find what they're looking for, whether it be in that career, whether it be in their own life, whether, like mental, physical, like that is my goal. And so I've delved headfirst into the choice that I made. And since then, I've met so many wonderful people. I've made so many connections. I've talked to and listened to people and what they went through and the risks that they took. And I've also had so much more time to spend with the people that I love. Sometimes you just got to be bold. You just got to take that action and go with it. There's no looking back. Take that action and move forward. Like, I won't lie. Over the last few weeks, I've thought about getting another job, maybe a part time job. But I know in my spirit that if I get that job, I will be quitting in 2 weeks. Believe me. And again, it's just maybe it's just this entrepreneurial spirit in me to want to take control and want to lead and have control of my life. Or maybe it's my trauma because I felt like I never really had control of my life. I felt like I've always had to answer to someone else and answer to the government and answer because I grew up in poverty, and maybe it's because of all that, and maybe it's not. At the end of the day, I know myself. I know what I want. And so why hesitate to get what you want if you know exactly what you want? And this goes back to the point that I made yesterday or the day before, is that the universe is going to conspire in helping you to achieve the goals that you want. And so taking action, like bold action should not be questionable at all. Be audacious in the way you move, in the way you talk, in the way you walk, you know? Just go after what you want. And it's okay to make mistakes because people are not even going to know those are mistakes because your audaciousness is overcompensating for that. Just be who you are, be authentic. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, it's the month of April and it's also Aries season. And for those of you who are kind of into astrology and, you know, zodiac signs, Aries is the symbol of boldness. It's the fiery symbol. It's a symbol of taking action and being super intense. Aries happens to be my sister sign, which I'm so glad it is because I love being a Libra, don't get me wrong. But sometimes I can be a little bit too deep in thought and I can have mental paralysis and think too much about this decision and this decision. Is this decision better? Is this decision going to help me? And I've actually had that before quitting my job. Like, I wanted to quit my job back in November, December. It wasn't until a month later because I was just thinking about, like, oh my God, like, how am I going to do this? What is going to be my next source of income if I start, this real estate journey now? Like, it's not going to work. Like, I just kept overthinking. And I finally did it because the mental paralysis was like, it was just making me upset. It was making me fiery. It was making me very, very agitated. And so back to what I was saying, it is a season of taking bold action. It is the start of the new year. It is the start of the actual new year. When once you've already sowed everything that you've sowed in November, December, you're able to watch it blossom. You're able to actually watch it bloom. And that's what's so beautiful about it, is that there's a season for everything. There is a season for everything. So definitely hone in on yourself. Take action for sure, but hone in on yourself and what your body is asking you and what it needs, what it requires from you in the season. Does it require intense action? Does it require a quiet action? Does it require for you to be more behind the scenes but still getting to work? Or do you need to expose yourself and put yourself out there so that people can find you and people can see who you are and people can see your audaciousness, the audacity that you have? But yeah, I leave this here. My name is Miss Maggie, and I will catch you in the next video.